So now we're going to show you whatsoever was written aforetime is written for our learning. Let's visit another trial, okay, of the Israelite named Mattathias, okay, the sons of Levi. We're going to read about the trial that Mattathias, the decision that he had to make that changed the entire progression of his family. We're going to start at 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1. I want to show you that Mattathias learned the commandments from his forefathers. All right, read.
Book of 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John.
So Mattathias arose, the son of who?
The son of John.
Okay.
The son of Simeon.
Come on.
A priest of the sons of Jorib.
Okay, so these were Levites. Come on.
From Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin.
So they dwelt in Modin. This is the line of Mattathias. He was raised in his household of his fathers, learning God's commandments. He had the priest office. So I want you to understand the background on this Israelite. Read on. I'm sorry, let's jump to verse 6.
Verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judea and Jerusalem.
So the blasphemies, when you read in the history, we just came out of Feast of Dedication, it should be all on your mind. The Greeks, the Idumeans, the Edomites came and defiled our temples. There were sellouts that sold our people out even from the priest office. They sold our people out. So the environment that's going on here, the atmosphere, is that you had sellouts that were willingly breaking God's commandments. Mattathias was sickened with the condition of his people. It vexed his spirit to see Israel bowing down to other gods and idolatry and all type of filth and wickedness, following after these pagan nations, which were the Idumeans, the Edomites. Okay, read.
He said, woe is me.
He said, woe, he said, death to me, woe is me. Read on.
Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
He said, I can't believe that in my lifetime, I actually see the misery of my people, the Israelites. Read on.
And of the holy city.
And the holy city. Read on.
And to dwell there.
And to dwell there in this, we got to live amongst this. Read on.
Where it was delivered into the hand of the enemy.
The hand of the enemy, showing you that as much as you want to try to deny, the Greeks were your enemies. And their forefathers today rule over you yet again today. The descendants of the Greeks and the Romans, the Idumeans, the Edomites, they still rule over you today. Understand that. Read on.
And the sanctuary into the hand of strangers.
And the strangers. Now, real quick, I want to jump. Let's jump to verse 12 to 14. So the environment and the climate is this. Mattathias, you're going to find, was not a poor man. Mattathias was a renowned man who had power, and he had clout. And now we're going to read about it. Verse 12.
Verse 12. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it.
The Gentiles have profaned it. Read on.
To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?
So at this point, Mattathias is making a decision. He's like, I don't want to live any longer like this. We're going to keep the commandments and make a stand. I don't want to live amongst this no more. Read on.
Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes.
So that's a sign of frustration. They were beginning to make their decision. Okay, rent their clothes mean you had enough. I had enough of this. Read.
And put on sackcloth.
Come on, and they were starting to lament. Read on.
And mourn very sore.
Mourn to make supplications to the Lord. Read on.
In the meanwhile, the king's officers.
Watch this. Wait, hold up. In the meantime, what?
In the meanwhile, the king's officers.
So the king, who was not an Israelite king, he had officers that did what? Read on.
Such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice.
So now they coming to make sacrifices and get the people to revolt. Read on.
And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
Now, watch what's happening. Watch what the king's officers are going to say to Mattathias. Read.
Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler.
So hold up. So they're saying to Mattathias that you are a ruler. Read on.
And an honorable and great man in this city.
Here they're saying, we know your reputation. You're honorable and you're a ruler in this city. We know you got a reputation. So this Mattathias was not a poor man that didn't know anything and didn't have any connections. He had a lot. He had a lot to lose is the point. Read.
And strengthened with sons and brethren.
He said, and they even said, I know about your family. I know you got a family. I know you got a strong family. Read on.
Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment.
So he said, listen, you be the first one to come. You do this. And he's going to go on to tell him that if you do this, I'm going to make your time easy. Read on.
Like as all the heathen have done.
Right. He said, listen, everybody else started to bow down and follow our ways. Why don't you just do it? Don't worry about it. Read on.
Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem.
Even Israelites, now we're in modern now, and brothers in Jerusalem was doing the same thing. But Mattathias was about to make a decision, which was going to begin the trial of his faith. Understand that. Read.
So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends.
If you do what you're supposed to, Mattathias, I know you. I'm going to make sure that the king is your friend. You're going to be in the house of the king's friends, matter of fact. Read on.
And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold.
Don't even worry about money. We got you. If you do what you're supposed to, you'll set the trend. Everyone will follow you. Your children will be taken care of. You're going to be a friend of the king. Don't worry about it. Read on.
And many rewards.
And not just silver and gold. We're going to take care of you. Any rewards. Food, anything you want. Read on.
Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice.
So this is when the beginning of Mattathias' trial really starts. Because if he had to begin with a loud voice and said, O king's men, I will do what thou say because I want the reward. Let's see if he says that. Read.
Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him.
He said a lot of these nations, they obey you. Now he wasn't speaking soft. That's why when you brothers will be at camp, you better bring some thunder in your voice. Read.
And fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers.
We know that these heathen, these other nations, they are following after their forefathers and they're following you. Read on.
And give consent to his commandments.
So when you give consent, that means you're doing what they call, what's the word that one begins with it? It is
assimilate.
Assimilation. Thank you. Read.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
As soon as he said that, the whole atmosphere began to change. Read that last part again.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren.
The word is yet. That's the same as but. Yet. I know it ain't, but yet. Read from yet.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
We're not doing what you say. We're going to follow thus saith the Lord. That's what we're going to do. That's the same thing Noah did. Thus saith the Lord. Now what could Mattathias doubt at this point? He could doubt what? Will the Lord deliver him? What will happen to me? I got my whole family, my children are with me. What will happen? I have riches. I have all these different things. What will happen? Read on.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances.
He said, but you know what? I'm not going to break the laws and ordinances of my God for anything. Read on.
We will not hearken to the king's word.
We ain't doing that. Read.
To go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
We ain't doing just a little bit. Not the right hand or the left, and we going straight through. Read on.
Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all the sacrifice. So
in front of all the sacrifices that was going down, there came one lonely so-called Negro ready to coon out, ready to go up and do what? Do a sacrifice to the one true God? No, to they stupid false gods. Watch what happens. Read.
On the altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment.
It wasn't the God's commandment, it was the king's commandment that they offered up sacrifice. Just like they did during the time of the book of Daniel with the 3 holy children. Read.
Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal.
So when he saw it, he couldn't take it no more. He just gave the speech, I'm not bound, my family, we're not doing that. Then he sees this and he was inflamed. Watch this, now he's getting in deeper. He's getting in deep right now. Read on.
And his reins trembled.
And you know what it says when your reins tremble? I mean, you can't take it no more. You're ready to do something. Read, come on.
Neither could he forbear to show his anger, according to judgment.
Right, because now he was bringing judgment right here, right now. Read on.
Wherefore he ran and slew him.
No, he walked.
He ran and slew him upon the altar.
Right in front of everybody, right in the altar. He said, I can't take it no doggone more. Now, we ain't saying you brothers go out there today and go slay somebody. Romans 13, we ain't doing it. This was written in that time, when our forefathers did things like this at that time. So don't get it twisted. Read.
Also, the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice.
So now the king's commissioner. A commissioner of the king is a direct representative of a king. So watch what happens. Read on.
He killed at that time.
And he said, he looked at the commissioner. I can imagine, go ahead and say something. Matter of fact, you ain't got to say nothing. And he went and he killed the king's commissioner. Like that scene from 300. When you see when they came to see Leonidas and they had the big pit and his king's men with the black dude from wherever he was from. And he went and he said, and he started stepping forward and they kicked them all right before he said, you know that an assault on a king is, a king's men is assault on a king. And then he said, I don't care. And then he kicked him in the pit. This is just like that. And by the way, those were our forefathers too. Read on.
And the altar he pulled down. And
not only did he kill the coon Jew, the Israelite that went up there, he killed the king commissioner, then he threw down the altars. Same way Christ did when he came in the temple and he threw down the thing in John 2. Read.
Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God.
For the law of God. Now, in the interest of time, let's get to the verse 28 is the point. 27 and 28. Watch this.
Verse 27.
Come on.
And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice.
Now he's going throughout the whole city. This is why we cry loud. He's saying, listen, you saw what I just did. Okay? You know what's about to happen to me, but I don't care. I'm going to stand up for the laws of God, and anybody else will want to come with me. Now's your time to follow, because we ain't backing down. Read.
Saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
Let him follow me. That's exactly what he said. Read on.
So he and his sons fled into the mountains.
Stop. This is when his trial really goes down. Because he was a man of renown. He had reputation. He had clout. Even the king's men did research and knew about this guy Mattathias. That's why they targeted him, to know that if he bowed down, others would follow. He gave up his position. And read that part again.
So he and his sons fled into the mountains.
He and his sons fled into the mountains. Did they have a house in the mountains waiting for them? All plush with all type of resources? No. Read on.
And left all that ever they had in the city.
So everything that they had, they left in just with their children. I think they took their cattle too. And they left into the mountains. Read on.
Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there.
So many came, many went. So understand this. Now I want in your mind to imagine the trial that's going on. He had a position of power. He was respected. He had a home. The things that are comfortable. He made the decision. And his decision was he executed the Israelite. He killed the king's commissioner. As soon as he opened his mouth and said he wouldn't do it, he already started his trial. Then he knew that after he did that, he had to leave. So what happened? They went into the mountains and they lived with not the creature comforts of what he had, because he had a lot of possessions. Okay? So understand it. Mattathias, you don't think that he was thinking about that? So we have to learn from this trial. Okay? How many of us have to leave our house and run for our lives and hide in mountains? Understand that. So a lot of you get your trial that come upon you, and you want to leave the congregation. You want to leave and no one's forcing you to break God's laws. So understand it. Learn, like Paul said, learn from the understanding of your forefathers. Now, the last trial we're going to go into, it needs no introduction. And that's the trial of Jesus the Christ. Jesus the Christ, the black Messiah, so-called black man. We know according to Revelation 1:14, he was a so-called black man according to the scriptures with white woolly hair. That's the one I'm speaking about. Now, let's get the book of, real quick, let's get the book of 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21 and 23 through 23. Jesus Christ suffered for the 12 tribes of Israel. in the trial that he went through, guess what? At any time, he could have stopped the trial. And I'm going to prove it to you. But he suffered for us. Read.
Book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us.
So you were called. Why? Because Christ suffered for us. Read on.
Leaving us an example.
So the example comes from, like Paul said, look back at the sufferings of your forefathers. In particular, look back at Christ and his suffering. Read on.
That ye should follow his steps.
So why would Peter say you got to follow his steps? Meaning you're going to suffer. You're going to go through things. Peter is preparing us, the Israelites, that our trials are going to be like Christ. And I'm going to show you that in the scriptures, we're not going to go. Some of us might go through the things Christ went through. But most of us will never see the trials that he went through. Read on.
Who did no sin.
So Christ didn't even do that. Didn't even do sin. Read on.
Neither was guile found in his mouth.
Neither was trickery, was guile found in his mouth. Meaning he was a true man, a true brother, the King of kings. Read.
Who, when he was reviled.
When he was reviled.
Reviled not again.
He didn't go back again. He didn't go back and forth. Read on.
When he suffered.
When he suffered.
He threatened not.
He didn't threaten brothers back. Read on.
But committed himself to him that judgeth righteously.
He committed himself to God, which goes back to Noah. Noah trusted in the Lord and built the ark, not really understanding. Okay? When you read about Mattathias, he trusted in God's laws. He trusted in the covenant that was given to his fathers, and he made a decision to do what? To rebel and go against and keep God's commandments. Okay? Against a wicked ruling empire that was going to kill him and promised him to be a sellout to give him riches. Now Jesus the Christ, his trial. He would suffer just like we are going to suffer as well. Now, real quick, get me the book of, what did I want? I want you to get me the book of, now I want to go back to Sirach 2 verse 1 through 4, and then I want to show you. You know what? When you really examine Jesus the Christ, when you understand the power that he really had, you have to understand that the patience that he exhibited is unlike any man's patience on earth. You got that?
Yes, sir. Sirach chapter 2 and verse 1.
Listen good.
My son, if thou come to serve the Lord.
Jesus Christ served the Lord. Noah served the Lord. Mattathias served the Lord. Read on.
Prepare thy soul for temptation.
The temptation to what? Not to build the ark. The temptation not to stand for God's laws, to bow down to the Greeks. The temptation to what? Not die on the cross and die and be a sacrifice, to take the place of the Levitical sacrifice of animals for sins, to not go through that trial. Read on.
Set thy heart aright.
So Christ knew from the beginning, because remember, Moses and the prophets wrote about Christ. He already knew what he was going to go through. He already understood it. Read on.
And constantly endure.
So Christ had to constantly endure. Constantly. Noah had to constantly. Mattathias was in the mountains. He had to constantly endure. Read on.
And make not haste.
Don't make haste. Read on.
In time of trouble.
Now something happens. You making haste with what? You make haste with your mind. Your mind gets in all different type of crazy things, get talking, and then you want to run. Read on.
Cleave unto him and depart not away.
And Noah cleaved unto God. He didn't depart. He did everything he wanted and he was delivered. Mattathias, which you're going to find that Judas Maccabeus rose up and they did a whole lot of damage. Okay? And they protected the sanctuary. They protected the Israelites and God's laws. Come on.
That thou mayest be increased at thy last end.
And we remember Judas Maccabee to this day. We remember Mattathias. We remember Noah. And we damn sure remember Jesus the Christ. Read.
Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully.
So now we're going to read about Christ. Because the things that were brought on Christ, he took it cheerfully beyond the understanding that we have as men. Understand that. Is there more?
And be patient when thou art changed to a lower state.
Who was put into more of a lower state than Jesus the Christ? Now I'm going to show you some of the lower states that Jesus the Christ was put through.
Now they will see the true men of God. We are not black men, we are the Israelites.
make it so hard to serve God? And why when I say that I'm a Jew, it sound odd? For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sounds wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.